Okay. All right. Let's give Vince and Ron a chance to come back. Okay, let's do a little bit of review. While we're waiting for Ron and Vince to come back, Jihua, would you like to share with us any impression from what we have studied so far from yesterday or from yesterday or any days before? You can go over your note and just kind of share what stands out for you. Or Ron, let's do some mental activation. Let's go through our note and just kind of pick some of the things that impresses us and share it. Okay.
Thanks for your call. Or thanks for calling my name. I was I just want to review about the four beginning. Yesterday you were sharing about the first one was the boat.
Okay.
Understanding that if we go to the downstream,
Mm-hmm.
it it's with ease and almost like effortless.
Mm-hmm.
We don't need to try so hard in life, because just sometimes just let the natural law take us. So that's the boat down the stream, and the know what you know is another. The second, those are the natural. What was your word in there? The four natural.
The circle
Um,
of the circle of knowledge. Are we talking about the circle of knowledge?
that what the circle.
I only know what I know.
Yes, the circle knowledge.
I know
Yes.
what I know.
So that is it's a good way to approach people, because we forget, I forget, and we are all human forget. And when we talk to them with their with their level of knowledge, it's easier to engage in a conversation. The second thing is to engage into I forgot about the kích hoạt não. Which one was that one?
The kid one now, that is a mental activation. Okay, that's what we're doing right now. Okay.
Oh, that's you doing today. That's awesome.
Yeah. Lesson, impression. Okay, and realization. This is the principle of mental activation.
Oh, okay. Awesome. Yeah. So those ones are just almost like universal law that we forget as human.
Yeah.
We try too hard. So just allow and go with the natural process. And if things doesn't go to our way, and if we can accept it with ease and accept it what it is, and so it's easier to go through life. It's more simple to go through life. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah. When it comes to the principle of mental activation, there is a curve of forgetfulness or the curve of remembering. And if we do nothing, we just let it go, then we will just, forget a lot of what we know. But if we understand, if we understand the curve of remembering, then we can activate it by repeating in our mind the principle of mental activation. Reviewing the lesson, reviewing our impression, and reviewing what we realize. And so we ride the curve, we ride the wave, kind of like surfing. We're riding on top of the wave as opposed to sinking down and have to swim back up. That's the idea of the principle of mental activation.
Okay? So that reminds me like we become adults and we have so much life lessons, then we forget that they're this natural law. So if I were to allow my brain or myself to become as a child, like when we were children, our parents teach us repeatedly, and we just got it. So it's a similar principle.
Yeah, and it is said that if we can collect 10,000 lessons, then we will come to a full realization of something. If we can collect 10,000 lessons or impression about human life and experience, then we come to a full and complete understanding of human life and experience.
Mhm. Yeah.
So we consider our life, however many years that we think we have left in this life. Let's say we are now 20 years old and we have 80, let's say we plan to, live until age 100. Okay, we're now 20 years old, we got 80 years left. And if we divide 10,000, let's see, 10,000, where is it? Let's say 10,000, 1, 2, 3, divided by 80 years. So we have to have at least 125 lessons that we need to master. That's a year. Okay, well, we divide that by 12, that's 10 lessons a month. Not a lot. Okay, and we'll divide that by 30 days, at least one lesson every 3 days. But that's assuming you have 80 years left. And do you really want to wait until the end of your lifetime before you realize, oh, that's what life is about? But if we shorten it up, if we shorten it up instead of 80 years, okay, let's say that in 3 years, okay, let's say 3 years, we want to come to a complete realization of, say in 3 years, we want to come to a complete realization of human life and experience. So 3 years, so 10,000 per 3 years, 10,000 divided by, okay, let's start again. 10,000 lesson. Okay. 1,000 divided by 3,000 lesson per year. Okay, we want to come to a complete realization, and we have to get 10,000. Then all we need is 3,000 lesson per year, which divided by 360 days a year. So we have to have at least 9 to 10 lessons a day. 9 to 10 lessons a day. And 9 to 10 lessons a day is not a big deal, right? The 24 hour, let's say we take away 8 hours of sleep. That's about 16 hours. So that's one lesson per hour is enough to get to 10,000 lessons in 3 years. But already we spent, only 8 hours, and imagine how many lessons that we have already gone through, right? We already went through 4 or 5 different principles, and every few minutes there is a lesson to draw from that. And you just kind of gauge, okay, if we want to be a completely transformed person, then we're going to try to get at least 10 lessons a day. Okay, 10 lessons a day. You can write it down. That is why when you enter the mentor program, they ask you to record your lessons and write down your lesson. It is only through the process of activating the mind, the mental activation, that those impressions become real to us, and then we will experience the answer to long sought inquiries that we have been having for a long time. And if we don't do that mental activation, if we don't speak it, if we don't share it back, it will just fall into the curve of forgetfulness, and then we lose it. And so our circle of I know it's going to be very small. The only way to keep our circle of knowledge nice and big is to do the practice, the mental activation. Okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, all of a sudden you can say, oh, that's what I know. Oh, that's what I meant. Oh, it's like remembering to activate, remember. It's you already know the information, it's just you forgot.
Right. Okay. So it's simple for this circle to always want to shrink down. It always to want to forget. But we use it. We use our brain. We use it or lose it, right? There's a saying, we use it or lose it. Just think about it all day long. Think about the lesson, just review the days, and over time, we maintain this circle of knowledge, this knowing, I know that I know, it stays big. And later on, as we learn about wisdom, when we get to wisdom level 3, wisdom level 4, you will be able to acquire knowledge that you didn't even study. Okay.
Yeah. Thank you,
Okay.
Frank.
All right. All right. Let's see. Vince, are you there?
Ron has the unmute on.
Yeah, Ron, would you care to share something?
Sure. What I was thinking was our positive and how the positive aligns with our desires and negative against. And I believe that sometimes I forget about that because when I listen to somebody, something affects me. And I'm thinking more of the negative than I am the positive.
Okay.
And yeah, that I need to learn how to think more of the positive, learn a way to, well, I am learning the way.
Yeah, yeah,
I just need to work on it more.
yeah.
I know the way, but I forget.
There you go.
Yeah.
Okay.
And it affects things too, even my moods, um, and what I actually believe. Normally I'm a quite positive person, and I tend to not listen to people with their negative attitudes, but sometimes it just bothers you, affects you.
Yeah,
Just need to learn how to put it aside.
yeah, yeah, yeah. How quickly we go from I know that I know to I know but I forgot, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah. Really the only way to maintain that is to keep activating our mind, keep activating, keep thinking about it, keep using it. Okay. Practice, practice, practice.
Yes. Instead of thinking of the negative, think of a positive thing about that person or whatever the situation.
Yeah. And
Always a positive in something.
yeah, and this is a roadmap, right? We're on a journey and this is a roadmap. And the beauty of a roadmap is that we have the map.
Mhm.
Whenever we lose our way, we can always go back to looking at the map. That's why every time this knowledge you can study, you can attend the Zoom over and over, and every time we attend, we remember something that we had forgotten, or even stuff that we have gone through, but we didn't pay attention last time. And then so the part that we don't know becomes the part of our knowing, or even the don't know, because there may be things that I said that just give you a mental paralysis because you may have not known that you even know it. But when I say it the first time, it just kind of get to the part that it goes from the don't know down into that don't know and know. Still doesn't make sense. But the third time, then it start to make sense. And so people will listen to the recordings, to the 10th time, and they still find some new lesson in the 10th time.
I know we haven't got to this part yet, but I get the information in and I let it go to my emotion right away
Okay.
instead of bringing it to a different level.
Yeah, we're going to talk about that next.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, it happens to everybody. It's called being human. Okay, we are human beings, and that is what it means to be human. We let our emotion, we let our mind take over, and then in the next session, in the next module, we're going to talk about how to take ownership of that. Okay. Well, good morning, Vince.
Good
I'm very
morning,
happy that
Frank. Good
you
morning,
able to get
Ron.
up.
Good morning, Mai.
Yeah.
Morning, Vince.
I mean,
Well, did you sleep?
Yes.
huh?
Did you fall asleep at all?
When? Or now or when?
Yeah, just now. Were you able to sleep for 4 hours?
My sleeping okay.
Okay.
I
Well,
hope someday I will be better.
here's
After
one.
this, at
Here's a
least.
tip. Yeah, don't be attached to sleep.
Mhm,
Just know that as long as we can lie down and take a rest, then we're okay.
mhm.
As long as
I
we
learn how
rest.
to rest. I learn how to rest.
Yeah, there you go. Exactly. Yeah, don't worry about sleep. We may not fall asleep, but as long as we lay down to rest, we'll be okay. Okay.
Mhm. Okay, I get it.
Okay. And then how about your own mental activation. Right?
Mm.
What is principle of mental activation? Okay, remember anything that you would like to share? You want to go over your note, or you can
You
share it
know,
from me.
I from what I learned from yesterday is I will try to be a positive person.
Very good.
My problem is I'm very confident, but at the same time I'm like negative.
Mm-hmm.
Hmm. But then start from today on, I will be more positive.
Okay,
Mhm.
that's
And
great.
I'm going to change my belief. I'm going to change my belief.
Wow, that's amazing.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, that is amazing. Okay,
Mhm.
so you're already applying something. Okay, you got obviously you got some information, but you're applying it, and you have certain realization about yourself and about life.
Mhm.
Yeah, that's great. That's great. Okay, very honored by your answer, and then grateful for your presence this morning. Okay,
Thanks,
so
friend.
let's start with the next lesson. Okay, so yesterday when we discussed human nature or human life and experience, we focus on the scientific perspective. Okay, it is called the root cause of life, the formula for the root cause of life. The formula for the root cause of life begins with the outcome in mind. That's what scientists do. Okay, they begin with the outcome, and then they work backward or construct experiment to prove the outcome. What we've done is we applied the scientific approach where we agree that the outcome of life are a result of the choices that we've made. Okay, the choices that we've made came from our personality, our habit, our action, our thinking, and we spent a long time changing our belief, working our mental images, coming to a realization that the essence of all things are empty. And whatever meaning that something gets is from that thing. Because it's empty, whatever meaning, it comes from our own mind, from within our own mental images, which are made up of what we hear, what we say, what we see, what we know. Okay, that is the scientific approach. Let's put that aside. And we're still operating on the law of causality. Okay, law of causality has a formula. If we want a certain desirable fruit in life, health, happiness, then all we need to do is plant the right kind of seed, a good seed. And we need to condition it with the proper affinity. Okay, that is the um, the formula for the causality. So, slide. Okay. So yesterday we spent a lot of time with this corner, the scientific approach to life. Okay, now we're still working on the good inner seed. We're still trying to find what kind of seed we need to plant in order to give us that fruit we want. We're going to approach it from a totally different angle. We're going to approach it from a religion and spirituality angle. Okay. And in this philosophy, I'm going to use a combination of Zen Buddhism as well as some Christianity. Okay. Okay. the purpose is still to expand our awareness about ourselves, and then, raise our level of wisdom so that we can, our purpose, but still what we're doing here, okay, we are still trying to create a holistic life, holistic health, and holistic wealth. Okay, if we can improve our wisdom, expand our awareness, it will help change our attitude, our character, our integrity, our physical vitality, our capability, and then our material life would be better. And already some of us are experiencing that transformation, even for first time participant like Vince. And so with the religious and spirituality perspective in mind, let's consider something. We use this pen. Should I use? Let's use the pink one. Okay. Let me think. What's the best way to do this? Consider this. There's a quote from the Bible. You will know the truth, and the truth will set you free. Okay? We're taking a religious and spiritual perspective. So there is a literally, and the Jesus saying, okay, Jesus said, you will know the truth, and the truth will set you free. You will know the truth, and the truth will set you free. Okay, so my question is, what is the truth? So if you already know the answer based on previous interaction, don't give it out. But with Vince, since you are our first time participant, you will know the truth, and the truth will set you free. What is the truth? Throw some, just kind of give us some a couple of words. What comes to mind when I ask you what is the truth?
My mind is empty now. I'm sorry.
That's actually a good thing. But when somebody say, when somebody the truth, speak the truth. In the law, in the courtroom, the legal system in the courtroom, when a witness is called onto the stand, and the judges and the lawyers are interviewing the witness, and the witness is about to, tell a statement about an event that happened, and the judge will ask the person, do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? And the person will say, I do. And the person will tell the story, all right, according to what they know. And then the opposite side would bring in a different witness. And the judge would say, do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? And they swear that they will tell the truth and nothing, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. But that second person's story is completely different than the first person. Kind of like this, right? If I swear to tell the truth of what this is, I can swear that this is a pen, right? But if, let's say, the dog were to be able to also speak, it can swear that this is the bone or a toy. So who's right?
Both.
So it's from a, yeah, from a legal perspective or from a conventional perspective, then the truth is relative. It's just based on your perspective. Okay, and if it's switching like that, and if we're both right, then who's right? What is the real truth? Then it's not very helpful if the truth is something relative. Okay, in fact, if you ask 10,000 people, they will tell you 10,000 different truths. So that is not very helpful either. Okay, and so we human being, oftentimes we look for health, and we look for happiness, and we look to other people, we look to each other for what we think may be the truth. But because different people have different perspective and understanding, we can never come to a real truth that we can totally depend on. Okay, so let me tell you a story to illustrate what we're trying to get at. Okay, so let's pretend, or this is a story, right? This is not in the Bible or anything like that, but it's a story that tells us an idea of the truth. Okay, we're going to look for the kind of truth that will set us free. So let's say long time ago, once upon a time, human beings and the demons used to live together in the same world. Human beings and demons live together. Because of our fundamental differences, human beings and demon got into conflict, and we fight. And there's a big war that break out between human beings and the demons. At the end of the war, we won. Human being win the war, and we banish the demon from our world. Okay. However, before leaving the human world, the demons wanted to enact one last of revenge against human beings. And the demon said, let us steal the most precious, most valuable things that human beings have and hide it. One demon said, let us steal the truth within human beings and hide it. Because with the truth, they will be free. Without it, they will not be free. So one demon said, okay, we are going to steal the most precious things about human being, which is the truth within themselves, and we're going to hide it in the highest mountain of the Himalayas. One demon saying, human beings, one day they may climb the mountains of the Himalayas and they will find that which we hide. Another demon said, let us take this most precious thing that human beings have, the truth within themselves, and find and hide it in the deepest of the jungles. Another demon said, human beings at some point, they will be able to clear the jungle and they will find that which we hide. The third demon said, let us find this most precious thing that human beings have and hide it in the deepest of the oceans. Another demon said, no, human beings are pretty smart. One day they will build submarines and boats, and they will dive down to the deepest ocean, and they will still find that which we hide. And so finally, one really wise demon said, I know. Let us find this most precious thing that human beings have and hide it so deep within themselves that they will never be able to find it. Why? Because human being, as our nature, we look outside of ourselves for things that are important to us. Right? Do we always look for things outside of ourselves for health and happiness? Do we always look for people and circumstances to make us happy? And that is why for the last tens of thousands of years, human beings have been searching and searching and searching for things like health and happiness, but we never find it because we are always looking outside of ourselves. But fortunately, there are wise beings, there are enlightened beings, awakened ones, like the Buddha, like the Jesus Christ, who have shown us that we each have the truth that is within ourselves. And all we have to do is once we know that truth, it will set us free. Okay? The truth within ourselves, the most precious thing that we have is something that will set us free. And it's deep within us. It is not outside. Don't need to go finding it from another person. Don't need to go finding it in a external circumstance or any event outside. It is all within us. Okay? And not only that, this truth is something that does not change over time. It is not relative. It does not depend on a person's perspective or another person's cultural background. Okay? The truth that we're looking for, this is not a relative truth that we hear in the courtroom. The truth that is within us. The truth that does not change. Because if it changed, it is not the truth. It's just perspective. Okay? The truth does not change. Does not change over space or time. Okay? Or even people. So Jesus said, you will know the truth and the truth will set you free. So what is this truth? First, know that it is deep within us. It is not out there. Okay, it is a simple truth that we can take refuge in whenever we are lost. We can always take refuge in because we have it. It is deep within us. Okay, the demon just play a nasty game by hiding deep within us because we keep on looking for outside. But now that we have the sages, the Buddha, the Jesus Christ of our world, to point to us that all we got to do is look inside. Okay. It is a very simple truth. You'll be amazed at how simple it is. Okay. And for some people, it will be difficult to recognize it because we are so much stuff in our mind. We think too much. Okay, we think too much. We may not be able to see it. Okay. There is a truth within us that is called the already, always, hearing, already, always, seeing, okay? It's a truth that is already, always saying or speaking, and the already, always knowing. As human being, we are already always hearing things. We are already always seeing things. We are already always saying or speaking things, and we are already always knowing. Even from the scientific perspective, when a fetus is still in the mother's womb, it can already hear. Even when the fetus is in the mother's womb, it can already see, as long as it has some kind of sensory. And when a child is born, we begin to learn to speak. And once we start to hear things and see things and speak things, we start to know things. And once we know things, we cannot unknow anything. Even if we forget, we cannot unknow anything. Now, the already always hearing, okay, is not the same as hearing something. Okay, there's a difference between hearing something or hearing noise and the hearing. So let's try a different way. Okay, so just know that we have the already always hearing, already always seeing, already always saying and speaking. We have the already always knowing. Okay, we're gonna draw it in a diagram next. Make sure I get my note. And this part is important. What am I not? Okay. Is this? So deep within our being as human being, we have something called the will. Okay, let's draw this diagram. Deep within with our being, we have something called the will. Right outside of that will, there is the hearing, or we can say the will to hear. We have the seeing, or we can call it the will to see, trying to shorten the word as much as possible. We have the saying or speaking, or the will to speak. We have the knowing, or the will to know. Okay? And this will to hear, the will to see, the will to speak, and the will to know is wrapped up in an energetic field that we simply call an aura of light. Okay, it is an electromagnetic light. As human being, we're energy being. This is an energy. Okay, so I want to go back to the hearing, the seeing. The hearing is not at hearing what? We can hear what? We can hear sound. We can hear noise. Right? But the hearing is the will. If there's a sound, that we can hear sound. If there's no sound, then we hear no sound. The sound change, right? Music or me talking, all of that change, the sound or the noise can change, but the hearing does not change. We are already always hearing. Even if there's no sound, we hear no sound. The sound is the stuff that is outside, but the hearing is the stuff that is inside. And that never changed. Think about that one. Same with the seeing. If we have eyes, we can see things, right? If there's light, the light will bounce off an object and we see things. We see colors, we see black and white, we see object and people, and all of those things change. And because they always change, we can't really depend on them to be anything that is consistent. As long as human being is attached to the things that are constantly changing, then there is nothing for us to anchor ourselves. But the seeing does not change. We are already always seeing. When there's light, then we see something. When there's no light, then we see nothing. When we have eyes and we open and we see things, when we close our eyes, we still see things. When we awake, we see something. When we are asleep, we still see. Do we not see in our sleep? Dreams, for instance. So it is the hearing and the seeing that never change, and it's always there. Okay. And we're always saying, which is like thinking. Okay, if we have a mouth, we can speak voices and we say and we speak words in different languages. Those are all external. But even if we don't have a mouth, if we're mute, we're still saying inside our mind. And once we know things, we cannot stop knowing. And it takes the knowing to able to process the hearing, the seeing, and the saying. And so as a human being, we have this simple truth. Okay, nothing fancy about it. There's nothing, there's nothing fancy about or complicated about this truth. The truth that we all have the will to hear, the will to see, the will to speak, and the will to know. We are already always hearing, already always seeing, already always speaking, and already always knowing. That's the truth within us. Okay? We'll get to see the significance of that in a little bit later. Okay? So outside of this inner being circle, this inner circle, we call that our inner being. Okay, we are human being. We have the inner being. This simple truth that we have the will to hear, to see, to speak, and to know, it is wrapped up in a very beautiful, very high energy vibration, very balanced electromagnetic energy of light. We are light energy being. Okay, the light of our being. Have you ever heard people saying the light of our being? Once we recognize the truth, Jesus said, I am the way, the truth, the light. Okay. Right outside of this inner being, we have the human nature. Okay. We have the reception. We have, I'm gonna go sideways. We have the imagination. Imagination. Okay. We have expression. Okay. Human beings, we express ourselves. And then we have cognition. Okay. It is related to our true self. The inner being is also referred to as our true self. As human beings, we always have the will to hear, the will to see, the will to speak, and the will to know. That is our true self. It does not change. Irregardless of external circumstances, we will always have that truth within us. And outside of that circle of our inner being, we start to develop what's called human nature. Reception is related to the will to hear. We receive information, right? Reception. We take information into us. We have the will to see, imagination. We start to see things that are not even there. Right? The will to see, when you see things, see, the will to see is just the will to see. That is just the seeing. There's no content. Okay, this is an important part. There's no content just yet. It is just the seeing. We always see. But what we see is part of the imagination. That is outside. Can you see the difference between the seeing and what we see? Right? What we see is an object, it's people, those changes all the time. We close our eye, we see images, we see stories, we dream, we see a dream. Those things are constantly changing. But the seeing itself never changes. We're always seeing. There's no content in the seeing. It's like an act. There is the will to see. Expression. We speak, we express ourselves. The will to express, the will to speak doesn't change. It's always there. But what we say, how we express, those stuff will change. The knowing does not change, but what we know, which is part of our cognition, what we know, it changes based on the information that we get, based on our reception, our imagination, our expression, and our cognition. So this is the first layer of human nature. Inside layer is our true nature. Okay? If you can draw this, try to draw this. Okay, this is going to be a very powerful tool for us later. Right. Now, right outside of our reception, imagination, expression, and cognition, we have a layer of basic needs, which is the need for resources, we have the need for appearance, and I will explain what those mean in a little bit. We have a need for identity, we have a need for consumption. And we have the need for for now we just there's a better word. Okay, that's fine. We're gonna call it let's just use rest for now. Okay, we have a need for rest. Right, sleep, rest. Okay. Resources are simply things that we use in order to get what we want. In simplest term, it is money and influence, money and power. Okay, human being, we need resources. We need money and power in order to get what we want in life. Appearance, there's two types of appearance. There is our personal physical appearance, our physical beauty, our personal beauty. Okay, human being, we are interested in the way we look, right? Why do women wear long hair versus men tend to keep that short? We're interested in our appearance. Not only in our own personal appearance, we are interested in the appearance of the spatial surrounding. Some people don't care about how they look, but they are very interested in how the room looks. The furniture has to be arranged a certain way. On a more non-material aspect, or not, appearance could be the way the organization is structured, the way our employee, they work. Okay, appearance, structure, order. Hello, Mr. Huile, is that your son? All right, beautiful. Okay, and then human beings, we have a basic need for identity, our sense of self, our name, our position, our status, who we are. The need to be recognized, our need for our identity, right? And the identity of others. We can only refer to each other through identity. I cannot talk to you if there's no you or I. I cannot relate to you if I don't know your name and if you don't know my name. Okay, so it is part of our human nature. Identity is a big deal. And then we have the basic need of consumption, which is to eat food. We consume food, we consume water, we consume information. We consume the news. Okay. And we have the need to rest, to recuperate, to restore balance. Rest can be associated with a sense of ease. It can be associated with sleep. We like to go on vacation. Okay, human beings have these basic needs. The one the circle of the green is sort of our basic needs. Our sense of safety is part of our sense of rest and ease. Okay, we get that so far? That is part of the human nature. And then right outside of the basic needs, we have a layer of the personality, beginning with desire. Okay, human being, we want things. We tend to become, I'm going to say, displeasure. In the past, I used the word angry, but that's too strong. Let's use the word displeasure this time. Okay, human beings, we also tend to be ignorant. Okay. There's a part of us that wants to know, the cognition part, and then there's a part of us that tend to fall into ignorance. Remember the circle of knowledge? See how quickly our knowledge become forgetfulness and become don't know. And so human nature, we tend to fall into ignorance. Okay? Ignorance, desire, displeasure, ignorance. We use the noun version, so it's CE. Ignorance. Human being, we have pride. Okay? As some human beings, we have the nature of skepticism. As human beings, we have ethics. And finally, we have judgment. Okay? These are our human nature that is part of our mind, our personality. Okay? Desire, displeasure, ignorance, pride, skepticism, ethics, and judgment. Okay? And this human nature, this personality, is wrapped up in a electromagnetic field of positive and negative polarity. Denote that with a red wavy line and a blue wavy line. Human beings, we are energy being. We have energy, and this is a representation of our positive and negative polarity energy. And it doesn't have to be perfect because our energy is going to fluctuate. I'll explain the negative and positive polarity in a little bit. In this circle of our inner being, the circle of our true self, there's no fluctuation. We're always here, we always see, we always speak, and always know. That's why it is wrapped up in an aura of light. Light is very high energy, very balanced, does not fluctuate between negative and positive. Right outside of that, very close to that, reception, imagination, expression, and cognition is part of our human nature. It fluctuates very little because it's so tied to, it is close to the inner circle. But as we get farther and farther apart from our true self, farther and farther apart from our inner being, we start to get out to our outer being, then we will find that our human nature fluctuates. Okay, outside of this personality or this mind is I'm going to borrow the Zen Buddhist representation of, let's write it down here, 84,000 bubbles of illusion. From common language or scientific language, they are nothing more than our emotions. Okay, we have emotion. I'm just going to draw a bunch of bubbles. Big bubble, small bubble. But do you notice that our emotion kind of wells up? They expand, and sometimes they just kind of pop and dissipate. As human beings, we have emotions. We feel things. Sometimes we feel them very strongly. Okay. And right outside of our emotion, we have I'm going to borrow the Zen Buddhist representation as well. It is called the 4-element body. Simply our physical body. And the 4-element body is represented by the element of earth, water, air, and fire. The element of earth is the physical atoms and molecules in our body. The nutrition that we eat. Right? The food that we eat, food comes from plants and animals, would come from the earth. And so our body is made up of earth. When we die, ashes to ashes, dust to dust, we come back to the earth. Okay? We have water. Human body is 70% water. We cannot survive without water. We breathe air. And air here has a more than just the gases. In an Eastern perspective, Eastern medical perspective, air carries energy. Okay, when we take a deep breath, not only do we get air, but that all those oxygen that carries energy, it energizes us. It's life. A human being can go for 30 days without eating, without nutrition. We can survive 7 days, 3 to 7 days without water, but we can only survive 3 to 10 minutes without air. And human being, we have fire. Fire represents the heat, the thermal energy, the body temperature. When the fire of our being goes out, we are no longer alive. Okay? So our 4-element body represent our physical body. Okay? Earth, water, air, fire. And with this philosophy, you will see how they are linked. The body and the emotion are really close to each other. Why? Because we feel our emotion in our body. When we're in love, oh, you literally feel that emotion. When we're angry, oh, we feel that too in our body. Our body react, we tense up. When we are happy, we feel that happiness in our body. And so our emotion and our body are also wrapped up in a positive and negative electromagnetic energy field that do fluctuate throughout the day or throughout, depending on our circumstances. So we'll denote that with red and blue, denoting positive and negative polarity. Okay. Okay. So we notice that our emotions fluctuate between positive and negative, right? We're sad, we're happy. We're angry, we're at ease. We are resentful, we are grateful. Okay? We are obstinate, or we are tolerant of people. The Buddhists say that there is 84,000 bubbles of illusion, denoting 84,000 emotions. Some scientists have been able to identify some 30,000 or something emotion. But emotion, they come and go, right? They wells up and they disappear. They have positive and negative. Our body have positive and negative. We get sick, we are healthy. Sometimes we're hot, sometimes we're cold, right? So we are always constantly changing. And these are the things that is beginning to go outside of our inner being, outside of our being as human being. And if we live our life always focus on the physical and the emotional part of our being, then we're going to experience this ups and downs all day long. It's called suffering. Okay? It's called suffering. Our emotion, there's another word for emotion called passion, right? In the English language, passion is another word for emotion. Somebody is very passionate about something. But the word passion has a root in Latin that actually means to suffer. In the movie, The Passion of Christ is the suffering of Christ. It is, passion to suffer. The word compassion, right? Compassion, com means community or together. Passion is to suffer. To have compassion for somebody is to suffer together. You suffer with another person is to have compassion. Okay, so this is a system of reference called the human construct. Okay, another term that another student came up with, and I kind of like it. It is also called the human energy structure. It is essentially a map of how the human being is made up. It is a map of how our energy works. When we buy any equipment, it comes with an instruction to use it. When we buy an iPhone, it comes with some instruction. When we buy a car, it comes with a big set of instruction, a manual on how to use the car. Even when we buy an electric rice cooker, it comes with an instruction book, a manual explaining how that device is operated. Wouldn't it be nice if life came with a map and a set of instruction as well? Right? Even the simple thing like a rice cooker came with instruction, yet we enter this world not having an instruction, and so we have to figure things on our own, always looking outside of our cells for health and happiness. And no wonder we're lost. But fortunately, the sages of the East and the wise people of the West have given us this map. It is the human concept. By looking at the human concept, we can better understand of who we are. By discovering the truth within us, we can ultimately set ourselves free. Okay, so let's go a little bit so a couple of vocabulary that we kind of go by. Okay, there are different part of the human structure. So the this inner part. Let me think. Let me yeah, let me draw this other structure. The inside part, okay, this inside part, we refer that to the inner being. Okay, so simplify things. Inner being. Right outside of that, the reception, imagination, expression, cognition, our basic need for resources, appearance, identity, consumption, rest. We have the nature of judgment, desire, displeasure, ignorance, pride, skepticism, and ethic. All of that together, 16 of them, we call that our mind. Okay, that is part of our mind. And right outside of that, we have the emotion. And right outside of that is the body. Okay, so this is a simplified version of the human construct. Our inner being is also referred as our true self, or true nature. Okay. A mind is referred as to our human nature. Okay, so to make a distinction. Human nature and our true nature. This inner being, this true nature, in the Buddhist language, it is also called the Buddha nature. Okay, so but here we're going to use words like inner being, we're going to use like true self, true nature. This is the truth within us that Jesus talks about. Okay. Okay. Let's analyze the human nature a little bit more, the mind. Okay. The human nature. Okay, so here, once again, human nature, we have the reception, imagination, expression, cognition doesn't change very much because it's so tied to our inner being. The basic need for resource and appearance, identity, consumption, and rest, they don't change very much, even though they can fluctuate. Those are just basic needs. We're going to look closely at this blue circle. Okay. So human beings, we have, these are our human nature. We're gonna, reduce the, this, okay, so let me call human nature. Nature. Since we're human beings, would it be nice to understand human nature? Would it be nice to have a roadmap to help us navigate our human nature? Okay, nature S, multiple nature. Okay. Our human nature has a polarity. It has positive and negative. So let's begin with the nature of desire. Okay, nature of desire. Our nature of desire fluctuate between positivity and negative. So on this side, let's use the plus symbol for positive. And over here, let's use the negative symbol for negative. Okay, remember it's wrapped up in a electromagnetic energy field of positive and negative polarity. Desire has a positive and negative polarity. When desire is negative, we go with the negative, we desire for ourselves. We become selfish. Okay? When desire is negative, it is selfish. When desire is positive, instead of thinking for ourselves, instead of wanting for ourselves, we actually want for other people. We are altruistic. Do you agree? We want things, but if all we want is for ourselves, then it's become negative. We are selfish. A person who always wants for themselves, they are very selfish. On the other hand, there are people who has a lot of desire, but they desire for other people. They like to help people. They'll make sacrifices for other people, and they are therefore altruistic. It is a positive polarity of desire. Okay. We have the nature of displeasure. Displeasure. As a human being, we somehow easy to get displeased. We don't stay happy for very long. And when the displeasure becomes very, very negative, that displeasure turns into wrath or anger. Okay, I just use the word wrath. If our displeasure are actually positive, then we are very satisfied. Satisfaction. Either way, we tend to swing between satisfaction and anger, especially if our desires are not met. If our desires are met, we get very satisfied. If our desires are not met, we tend to get resentful and angry. Wrath. Okay, so you can start to see how the human nature operates. It's constantly fluctuating between positive and negative. We have a nature of ignorance. Our circle of know and knowing always try to shrink from knowing that I know to I know but I forgot. So we have the nature of ignorance. It is part of human nature to be ignorant. And that's why to make sure that we stay in the know, we have to work on the principle of mental activation. Okay, we don't obey the law of mental activation, which means repeated repetition, then we're just gonna fall into ignorance. If our ignorance is fluctuate in a positive way, then we have clarity. Okay, in a positive sense, we get clarity. When we have very little ignorance, we have a lot of knowledge, it'll help us with clarity. If a person get very ignorant and they don't do anything to get to know, after a while, they will experience delusion. Delusion. Okay? A lack of knowledge will tend to lead to delusion. You know wrong thing. But if you know a lot of things, then you can experience clarity. You know the right thing, you can make good decision. As human being, we have pride. Pride is simply to be proud, right? Can you be proud of your children? Can you be proud of your accomplishment? Okay. With pride, it's a little interesting thing about pride. If we have no pride, or if our pride is negative, when we have a sense of inferiority, okay, self-trivialization, a person has no pride, it's a person of inferiority. There's a sense that I don't know anything, I can't do anything, I am just normal and useless. But as we increase our pride, we get more confident. That's good. Confidence is good. But when you get too confident, we go too positive, we tend to become arrogant. So arrogance can be a positive polarity of pride. It's okay for parents to be proud of their children, but parents can be pretty arrogant about their own children's accomplishment as well. That is when you get really positive. Okay, human beings, we have skepticism. Okay, if we are too skeptical, too negative about our skepticism, then we are full of doubt. Why do you know anybody who is constantly doubting everything? Don't trust anybody. But as we swing over to the positive end, then we become trusting. Okay, trusting or trust, and that has to do with our nature of skepticism. Trust or belief, right? Religious people, there are agnostic, and then there's the believers. Okay, human beings, we have ethics. Okay, we know good and evil. When we are very good, then we are benevolent. Benevolence. When we become cruel in our ethics, then when we become evil, then we have become cruel. Okay, it's called cruelty. A single human being can be benevolent to one person and cruel to another person. We fluctuate between the positive and negative polarity of the human nature. And then we have judgment. A person who is so judgmental in a negative sense is obstinate. Obstinate. Okay. You are not willing to change your judgment, your perspective, your view, your opinion. A person is very obstinate. But a person who is positive polarity in the judgment scale is somebody who is open-minded. Okay. And so you can look at the human nature. Okay. Desire, displeasure, ignorance, pride, skepticism, ethic. You notice that if we go negative, we tend to be more selfish, wrathful, which is angry. We can be delusional, inferior, which is a lack of pride. If we're doubtful or we're cruel to other people, if we're obstinate, then they're very negative. If we go positive, we become very altruistic. We tend to be satisfied with life. We experience clarity, but we can also be very arrogant. Overconfident is a sense of arrogance, over too much pride. We can become very trusting. We can benevolence. There's an N in there. Benevolence. Okay. And our judgment, we can be open-minded. And the thing about this human nature is it tends to swing. And if it goes too much on any one extreme, it can swing back to its opposite. Consider desire. A person can be very altruistic, very desirous of helping other people. They can be very altruistic, right? They help and they do charity all their life. But at some point, if they help people too much and they never get anything in return, they may swing immediately back, all the way back to being selfish. Take CEOs and treasurer of charitable organization, right? They would work to raise fund for a charitable organization, all very altruistic, but somehow if they spend so much time helping other people and they don't get anything in return, they might turn around and steal the money from an organization. Or as a parent, we may sacrifice for our children. We help them, we raise them, we teach them, we educate them because we have a desire for them to become better people, right? But if they disobey us, meaning if they don't satisfy our certain selfish desire, some parent will disown the children. Or some parent would be so selfish, they don't want the children to leave the house. They want the children to stay with them, take care of them, not let them get married. or have to get married to somebody that the parents demand that they get married to. You see, with desire can swing all altruistically or selfishly. With displeasure, we tend to become angry, but at some point the anger can take a toll on us and then we just give up. We don't want to be angry anymore, and then we just kind of become satisfied with life. Okay? Ignorance, delusion, clarity. A person of pride may have a lot of pride in themselves or their children, and they can go very arrogant, very positive, but something may happen that shatter their confidence, and then they become inferior overnight. Right? A lot of successful people become very prideful about their own success, and then some external things happen and they experience a failure or something, and then boom, overnight they have a mental breakdown. They no longer believe that they can in themselves anymore. No more self-confidence. Okay. Same with skepticism. Some people can doubt and doubt and doubt all their lives in a negative sense. And then at some point, something happened and then they become very trusting. They just believe, they join a religion. Or vice versa. Somebody can have strong faith in God. They have extreme trust, extreme faith, very positive. But because of the extreme positivity, something might happen that will shatter their faith, and then they will lose all faith in God and they start to blame God. Ooh, do we see that happen all the time? Right? People would blame God, even believers. Too much positive tend to swing backward negative, and too much negative tend to swing back to positive. Ethics, same thing, benevolence and cruelty. A person can be very kind to somebody and something happened and it caused them to be cruel one moment to another. We could be feeding our children, but if they don't satisfy our desire for something, we can be very cruel to them. We can punish them. Parents have been known to disown their children, especially the parent who are very benevolent to their children. They contribute a lot to their children's well-being, and if the children don't satisfy a certain desire, they can be very cruel to the children. Same thing with judgment. Some people can be very, very open-minded, willing to accept all kinds of opinion. But after a while, they get overwhelmed with other people's opinion. They don't know what's right and wrong anymore. Then they become very obstinate. I don't believe anybody anymore. I don't want to change my opinion. And so you kind of see human nature swing back and forth between positive and negative. And we can never really hold on to anything that is solid, that is stable, that endures. There is no truth in human nature. It constantly change. And that is why we suffer. Okay, from the time that human beings was created until now, human being, we suffer. That is suffering. Because we constantly swing back and forth between this positive and negative polarity. Let me tell you the story of Adam and Eve in the Garden of Eden. Okay, this is a Christian reference. So God created man and woman, human being. God created human beings, and he named them Adam and Eve, and he puts human beings in this Garden of Eden. And God gives human beings all the things that we need. He put this Adam and Eve in a Garden of Eden, and with all the plants and animal, they can eat whatever they want, they can do whatever they want, and they experience peace. However, God has one restriction. You cannot eat from the tree of knowledge of good and evil. You cannot eat from the tree of knowledge of good and evil. Good and evil. Well, guess what Adam and Eve did? They ate from the tree of knowledge and of good and evil. And from the moment that Adam and Eve ate from the tree of knowledge and good and evil, they start to know good and know evil. That is an allegory to say that they start to behave with cruelty and kindness. They started to experience selfishness and altruism. They started to become wrathful and satisfaction. They start to swing between positive and negative polarity of human nature, and they begin to suffer. And the analogy of that is being kicked out of the Garden of Eden. See, human being, we were already happy. We were already at peace. Right? The allegory of the Garden of Eden in the Christian religion tells us that as human being, before the human nature was born, all we knew was we have the will to hear, the will to see, the will to speak, and the will to know. And we're wrapped up in this high energy, high vibrating energy field of light. We were at peace. But when we start to go away from that, when we start to activate our desire and our imagination, our desire for resources, for appearance, for identity, for consumption, for rest, it gives rise to displeasure. It gives rise to ignorance. It gives rise to pride and skepticism and judgment, and we start to suffer, which is an analogy of being kicked out of the Garden of Eden. We lost our innocence, we lost our peace, and we are constantly looking outside of ourselves for that which we already have, which is the truth within us. So how do you go back to the Garden of Eden? How do we go back to the truth within us? Okay. That's what's important, right? What's the point of studying human nature if you don't actually get back to that that part? Let me see. I'll check my note real quick. Okay, all of that. Okay. So the human nature, the judgment, the desire, the displeasure, the ignorance, the pride, the skepticism, the need for resources, appearance, identity, consumption, and rest, our reception, our imagination, our expression, and our cognition are called human nature. It is also called our ego. And it is also called the ego. So here are some words that we wrote down before. Whereas the inner being is our true self, our true nature, our Buddha nature, our God nature even. I'll explain why it's a God nature. Our human nature, okay? It's also called our ego. It's a terminology that we go by. You know, there's somebody say, I have a big ego, or that guy has a big ego. Right? Usually when the person has a big ego, some part of, they have very strong desire. They tend to be very obstinate, for instance, very prideful, right? Somebody has a big ego when we say about that. It has to do with a human nature. A person is strongly residing in their human nature circle. Okay. Okay. let's talk about what it means. Oh yeah, let me explain why it is our God nature. Okay, this will to speak and the will to see, the will to hear, the will to know. Okay, since we are using the combination of religious perspective from the Buddhism, this diagram is from the Zen Buddhist, but it also a tie into Christianity. So let me explain the Christian perspective of it. Okay. In the Bible, especially in I think the Bible written by John, St. John, it was written in the Greek language. It says that in the beginning, there was the Logos. That is a Greek word. In the beginning, there was the Logos. In the English language, we translated that to the word. In the beginning, there was the word was with God, and the word was God. That is a quote from line 1 of the Bible according to John. But that is a narrow understanding of the word logos from the Greek language. Logos is the will. Has a greater definition and meaning in the Greek language than just the word. So the logos is the will. Okay, in the Bible, according to John, what it really said that in the beginning there was the will. Okay, the will was with God, the will was God. And then you look at Genesis, God spoke. Okay, God said, let there be light, and there was light. In the beginning, there was the will, the logos. And then that will express itself, speak, God speak. Let there be light. And there was light. The light of our inner being, the light of the universe, from different angles of looking at it. Okay? There is a direct correlation between the Christian cosmology and the Zen Buddhist cosmology. In the beginning, there was the logos, which is the will. And that will spoke. It expresses itself. And there was light. And it's, scientists nowadays say the Big Bang. But even before the Big Bang, this is a study of the human nature. The will is within us. The will of God is within us. The will to hear, the will to see, the will to speak. And the moment God spoke, he created reality. And guess what? We do that too. Right? Just like the interaction that we had yesterday, when we speak, we create our mental images that give rise to our reality. The person who speaks a lot of negativity, guess what their reality look like? Very negative. A person who speaks a lot of positivity, a lot of loving words, a lot of peaceful words about ourselves, about other people, guess what? That person has a reality that reflects peace and happiness and love. So as human beings, we speak. We have the will to speak, and it is our true nature. It does not change. What we say change, what we speak comes out as positive or negative, but the nature of speaking does not change, because that is our true nature. And once we recognize that true nature, we also recognize that is our God nature. We are created in the image of God, according to the Bible. Okay, that is a religious perspective we're using here. This diagram is a Zen Buddhist diagram, but it explains the Christian Bible. Previously, we just read the Bible. We haven't quite understood what it means when they say, in the beginning, there was the Word was with God, the Word was God, the Word was made flesh, and, that was the body of the person of Jesus Christ, and that's fine. It is Jesus Christ is the expression of God's will. Okay, the whole world creation is an expression of God's will when God speaks. Okay, so what's the purpose of talking about the truth part? Okay, what's the value of the truth? And why does Jesus say that you will know the truth and the truth will set you free? So let me, and how does the study on the human nature help us become free? Okay, free from suffering, free from those positive and negative polarity. Okay, free from the human nature. So let's go back to this diagram. So deep inside, we have the will. Okay, this is going to be a simpler version. The will to hear, the will to see, the will to say or speak, and the will to know. Okay, all of that is wrapped up in a circle of radiant aura. Okay, I won't write that, but okay, that is also our inner being, our true self. Okay, and I want you to draw it the way the following way with me. Okay, outside of that, we have the circle, but not a complete circle. Let me, the way you draw it like this for me. Just leave a little bit of space. And you draw another line like that outside. Okay, and we're gonna draw a tunnel like that. Okay. Okay, remember the inside part is our true self. Okay. This part here is the mind. Outside is our emotion. Okay. The mind can also be called our personality or our ego. Let's use our ego. Ego. Okay, the emotions are our feelings. Okay. Now, consider when we encounter some information from the outside, that we're going to call it a message. The word information has a different connotation when we learn about the reality triangle. So this is a message. When we encounter another person, when somebody says something to us, or we hear the news, we receive some information. Okay. So let's say we're talking with somebody and they call us stupid. Okay, stupid. You're stupid. Before we discover the truth within us, what happened when somebody calls us stupid? Okay. Somebody,
Negative response.
you respond, you immediately respond. In fact, we respond in different ways. Some people respond emotionally. Okay, so we respond. So we use our most emotion to respond or react. Okay. Other people, they don't react emotionally right away, but what they start to do is they start to analyze. Oops, Z, E. Okay, they start to analyze. And remember that in the human construct, our emotion and our mind has a positive and negative polarity. We can respond positively or negatively, or we react positively or negatively, or we start to analyze positively or negatively. In other words, the message comes in, it takes on a positive or negative charge. It becomes charged. And it becomes charged positive or negative, depends on our human nature. Okay, depend on all of these. In fact, the focus of human nature, let's write down the focus of human nature is, let's use a different one, desire, and imagination is orange, and imagination. The focus of human nature is desire and imagination. Okay. It is our desire and imagination about resources, appearances, identity, tài sắc danh thực, consumption, and rest. Okay, the focus of humanity, the focus of human nature is desire and imagination. And our desire and imagination about resources, appearances, identity, consumption, and rest, which give rise to the rest of the other ones, which are the displeasure, ignorance, pride, skepticism, ethic, and judgment. Okay, we have desire about resources, let's say money and power. If our desires are met, we become satisfied. If we have desire about money and we're very good about making money, can become very confident and arrogant over time. We have desire about money and our family members give us a loan whenever we need to. We can become very trusting. We have desire and we are altruistic in our desire. We want to give people money. We can initiate our sense of benevolence. Okay, if our desires are not met, let's say we're imagining about money and influence, and our desires are not met, then we can quickly switch over to the displeasure part. And if our desires are not met, we may turn from not only displeasure and wrathful, but we can do something very cruel to other people. We can hurt them. And so desire and imagination about resources, appearance, identity, consumption, and rest will give rise to ignorance, displeasure, ignorance, pride, skepticism, ethic, and judgment. See how human nature works? It's nice to have a little map helping us navigate our desire and imagination, help us to navigate the human nature. Okay, we're constantly fluctuating between positive and negative, but when our desire are met or not met, it gives rise to all the other human natures. And that is referred to as taking on a positive or negative charge. So when somebody calls us stupid, and our desire, if we're the kind of person who desire to be our sense of identity, if we have a strong desire for identity and we would like people to consider us, let's say, wise and knowledgeable, right? We may have experience in life, we may have succeeded. We want people to identify us as being successful, as being wise and smart. That is our desire and our identity. But somebody called us stupid, ooh, and immediately we may react with some kind of emotion. It could be negative. On the other hand, if let's say we are a clown at a circus, okay, and you're trying to make somebody laugh with your stupid jokes and your stupid acts, you're still desiring, you still have imagination about your sense of identity, but instead of being a successful business person, a wise person, our identity is now that of a clown. So being called stupid, if you call a clown stupid, the clown may actually enjoy it. He may take pride in knowing that other people have acknowledged him for acting stupidly, because that's what he's trying to do. And so that also takes on a positive or negative charge in terms of emotion. For some people, instead of reacting emotionally, they start to think. When somebody calls you stupid, you say, what is that person? Why does that person call me stupid? Do they really mean it? Are they trying to insult me? They start to think and think and think. And that takes on a positive or negative charge as well. The mind will do that. And over time, throughout our lives, we receive message from other people, from the news, from simply seeing or hearing, right? It is our seeing and our hearing. It is not our true hearing or seeing, it is our reception. It is the human nature part that we receive information. It is our imagination. It is the human nature, our reception and our imagination as we take in information and message, and it takes on an emotional charge or a mental charge, positive and negative, and we suffer. And we suffer. Right? Yeah, that's why human beings suffer. So, how do you free yourself from suffering? Jesus said that you will know the truth, and the truth will set you free. How can we set ourselves free by knowing the truth? It's actually right here.
Eliminate the emotions and let it go to your mind. You can become serene.
So, to free ourselves from suffering, all we need to do is recognize that a message is simply a message. When somebody says stupid, all you need to know is, oh, stupid. That's it. We don't let it charge with a positive or negative emotion. We don't need to take pride in it. We don't need to feel bad about it. It is just stupid. We don't need to think about it even more. We don't need to think about what that person is thinking, what they're trying to do, or they're trying to insult us, or they're trying to make fun of us. We don't need to charge it with our mental energy, nor do we need to charge with our emotional energy. We don't need to charge it with our positive and negative electromagnetic energy. We just let it go straight into our inner being. We simply hear it and we see it. When we recognize that our true nature, we have this will to hear and the will to see. I am already always hearing, and I'm already always seeing. Just focus on that part. And then STUP comes in, okay, I hear it, I see it, and that's it. No emotional charge, no mental energy, no heaviness. You can be very light. And if you do that with every message that comes in, especially one that are undesirable, when something that is desirable, sure, you can keep it. But even then, don't keep it for too long. If it gets too positive for too long, it will swing back to being negative. If you allow your emotional and your mental energy to fluctuate between positive and negatively all the time, we're going to drain our energy. We're going to get tired. Because emotion and the mind is, very costly in terms of energy. We're going to get tired. So instead of letting it charge positive or negative, you just let it come in because it is just a message. Essentially, it is empty. Okay? What this is empty. What it is, whether it's a pen or a bone, that it comes from within our mind and our emotion. It only becomes a pen when it passed through the outer layer, when it passed through the emotion and the mind. But if it comes in bypassing the emotion and mind, it comes straight in, then all I know is, oh, I see. That's it. I see. Yeah, I see it. And not only I see, I know that I see. And so you go back to the nature of emptiness of all things. Okay, when something comes into our inner being and it is empty, it doesn't take on any charge, it is not heavy, it does not drag us down, then we can float above the flood very lightly. And to do that, we say that we welcomely receive. Or we simply, welcome it. Welcomely receive. Okay? It is our emotion that react. It is our mind that analyze, but it is our true self that welcomely receive a message. We receive it. We don't charge it with any positive or negative emotion. We don't charge it with a positive, negative mental energy. We just welcomely receive. And because it has no charge, it is highly balanced, it is totally light, it is totally empty, then we can welcomely receive unlimited. Right? We can receive unlimited. Doesn't matter what people say to us. They can compliment us or they can insult us. It is not a compliment or an insult unless it goes through the outer layer, but if it comes straight into our inner being, it is simply a message. And we can welcomely receive it without being pulled down by it. And that is serenity or inner peace. Okay? It is by recognizing our true self, by recognizing this simple truth within ourselves that we already always hear, already always see, the will to hear, the will to see. You just notice that, and then we can experience peace. We can be free from the constraint of the mind and the ego. We can be free from the weight of positive and negative emotion and positive and negative ego. And the truth is so simple. It is not that complicated, right? And the more simple you make it, the simple, the more easily we're going to experience peace. If we think too much, we try to analyze. You can't analyze the inner being. You cannot analyze our true self. You can only just know. And once you receive things welcomely without any positive and negative charge, then what we say is also very balanced and very light. Okay? What we hear and what we see, if there's no positive or negative charge, then what we know is very balanced, and what we say is also very light, and it is very authentic as well. And authenticity is saying things as it is. That's authenticity. That is a character of authenticity. By the benefit of being able to access our true nature, our true self, our inner being, by recognizing this truth within ourselves, the benefit is inner peace, which is serenity, and the benefit is that we can express ourselves authentically. It is the third candle in our house of holistic health. Okay. Emptiness of, that's called emptiness of being. Okay. So when we recognize that the nature of all things is empty, okay, all things have its emptiness of meaning, the benefit is that we recognize the nature of emptiness of being. Okay, I'll write that down. So we're talking about human nature, okay? And we're talking about our true nature. Emptiness of being. Okay, emptiness of being. That is our true nature. And I'll draw that picture again for you guys in this page. Okay, we have the will. The will to hear. Vincent, were you able to hear the entire interaction while you were away from the camera? Or did you miss the important part? Did you get the part how we get to serenity, how we get to peace? Do you need me to repeat that? Go ahead and unmute Vince, if you want me to repeat that.
Okay.
Do you want me to repeat that part, or did you hear it?
If you can, that will be great. But
Okay, I can repeat it for you. Okay, yeah, that's important. Okay, that is the gist. That is the main point. That is the main point of realization and enlightenment, and it will free you from suffering. But if you miss it, then I will have to go back and share it again.
it's okay. I can listen back while on YouTube. Okay.
No,
So,
it's okay because we're here. We're gonna need to get this basic before we move on. So I don't mind repeating it, and I'm sure other people would not mind repeating it.
thank you.
This inner part, this is called our inner being. Okay, it's called our inner being. It is also called our true self or our true nature. Okay, it is the truth within us. Okay, we always have that will to hear, the will to say, the will to know. Okay, we are already always hearing, we are already always seeing. That's a simple truth. There's nothing complicated about it. The more you think about it, the more you're gonna lose it. Just know that we have this will to hear and the will to see, that we're always hearing, we're always seeing. Okay, the hearing and the seeing is not what we hear and what we see, it is the hearing and the seeing. It is called our true nature. Right outside of our true nature, if you get a chance to draw, have you been able to draw this? It's important. See if you can try to draw this. Okay, draw a circle but leave a gap. And then draw another circle and leave a gap. Okay, right outside of our true nature, we have the human nature. And human nature, we have the mind. Okay, which could be also called our ego, our ego mind. And right outside of our mind, we have our feeling emotion. Okay. Now, we're going to draw a little bit of a tunnel from the inner being. So when somebody says something to us, or when we hear a news or we read a story, we refer to that as a message. We're getting a message from the outside world. Okay? And if somebody, let's say, call us stupid, well, if somebody called you stupid, what's the first thing that happened inside you, Vince?
We got emotional,
You think you get emotion, right? Yeah.
normal reaction.
Okay. Your normal, you don't react?
We emotionally react.
Yeah, we react. Yeah. With the feelings and the emotion, we react. Okay. And we react positively or negative. we said earlier that the focus of human nature is desire and imagination about resources, appearances, identity, consumption, and rest, would give rise to displeasure, ignorance, pride, skepticism, ethic, and judgment. Oops. Judgment. What somebody call us stupid depends on our human nature or how our personality. We may be the kind of person who have a desire for a certain identity. We may want other people to identify us as a person of wisdom or smart. But somebody calls us stupid, it does not satisfy our desire to be identified as smart. We may switch from desire to displeasure, wrath. We may get angry. Okay, we go negative. Or if we're a clown and we're trying to act stupid so that people would enjoy the show at the circus or something, if we identify ourselves as a identity, okay, if I identify ourselves as a clown and we're trying to act stupid and other people will say, yeah, that's stupid, then we may find pleasure in it. Our pride may go up. We may be confident and, you know, we're very proud about acting stupid. Some people don't react emotionally, but instead they analyze. It is the mind that takes over and they start to analyze. So when it comes to the level of the mind, we say that we use it to analyze. Okay, we use our emotion to react and we use the mind to analyze. They might not react emotionally, but they started thinking, oh, is that person trying to insult me? Is that person, you know, really like me? We start to think and think and think and think and think. And just as the emotion and the mind has a positive and negative energy polarity, this message, if it goes through the levels of the emotion in the mind, if it goes down here, it takes on a positive or negative energy charge. And because it takes on a positive or negative energy charge, it is no longer true. It has become something else. It has become a part of our emotion. It becomes a part of our mind. It is no longer true. Because another person who received that same message will have a different reaction. They have a different mindset about it. And because they're different, it can be true. It is not, you know, because the truth is something that does not change over space and time. If it is a relative truth, that is not a truth, it's just an opinion. It is just somebody's perspective. Okay? Because something to be true, it has to be the same throughout time. It does not change in order for that to be true. Okay, think about that statement. And anyway, if it takes on a positive or negative charge, it becomes heavy. And over time, imagine every message that we receive takes on a positive or negative charge. We react to everything. We think about everything. After a while, our life is full of charges, positive and negative. It can be pretty heavy. It's called suffering. Okay? That is suffering. We suffer when we react. We suffer when we analyze the message that we encounter. Some people tend to take pride in the word passion. Somebody very passionate about some subject. But the word passion has its root in Latin, meaning to suffer. Okay? There's a movie called The Passion of Christ, which literally say the suffering of Christ. To be compassionate, common together, common, community. Compassion meaning to feel the other person's, to suffer together, to feel the other person's suffering. So human being, we suffer. Why? Because we allow the emotion and the mind to take on a positive or negative charge. So how do we free ourselves? Well, fortunately, Jesus has said that if we know the truth, then the truth will set you free. And the truth is simple. We already always hear, and we already always see. And that does not change over space or time. We have the will to hear and the will to see. So we just kind of focus on the will to hear and the will to see. And so whenever a message comes in, instead of letting it take on a positive or negative charge in the level of the emotion or the mind, we simply receive it. This is for the true self, okay? So this is the level of the true self or our true nature or our inner being, okay? So instead of letting our emotion and our mind take over, we simply welcomely receive it. So somebody call us stupid, we simply know that it is stupid. Okay, I hear the word stupid. I see it written as word stupid. You just welcomely receive it. Don't think about what it means. It is the meaning that gives rise to positive and negative polarity. It is the emotion that gives rise to positive and negative energy within our being, and that is suffering. In fact, when somebody say something like you're stupid, not only do we recognize that it's simply a message, what we want to do is focus on the true self. The fact that I hear and I see, and that's it. Just
Frank,
as when we are
sorry,
looking at this,
Frank, sorry, I'm interrupting you. And there is a question.
yeah,
You mentioned, okay, somebody sent a message as a stupid, right?
Mm.
With that logic, you're making definition regarding of feeling, emotion, and analyze. If the message is not a stupid, something different, it means somebody sent a message, your best friend or one relative in your family is died.
Mhm.
And then immediately your body or your mind is you feeling emotional, right?
Okay, the
And
message is
how
stupid.
you gonna describe that one?
Okay, so instead of stupid, the message is somebody died. Okay, somebody died. Now, the human nature
Huh.
is desire and imagination. We have certain desire about certain people. We have imagination about certain people. And the message comes in that that person died. If we allow it to go through the outside layers of the emotion, then immediately we start to feel. We may feel bad. Or we start to think, oh my God, I haven't had a chance to meet this person, and yada, 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 yada. You come up with the story, and the more story that you come up with, the more emotion that you charge it with, the heavier it gets, the more we get entrapped by it. Right? That is human nature. We do it all the time. At the moment we receive any message, we either react or we analyze it. And we react in a positive or negative way. We analyze it in a positive or negative way. And so we go from desire into all the other ones. We may become wrathful. We got angry. We may become inferior. We start to doubt our meanings in life. And it's called suffering. Did you get that? It is the emotion and the mind that is the source of our suffering. It is not what outside, it's not what happened. It's not what happened that causes the suffering. It is the stuff that's going on inside. Just as, what is this? It is nothing. It has no meaning until we, using our own feeling and emotion, decide what it is. We decide what, whether it's a useful pen or it's simply a useless toy or whatever. So when a message comes in, somebody has died. If we let our mind and our imagination attach to that message, then it becomes heavy. It drags us down. We suffer. Fortunately, the sages have taught us that in order to free yourself, all you got to know is the truth. You will know the truth, and the truth will set you free. And what is the truth? The truth is, I hear, I see, that's it. I hear the message that somebody's died. I see the message that somebody's died, and that's it. And even better, I simply hear and I simply see. You start to pay attention to the hearing and the seeing without attaching a positive or negative emotion or positive and negative ego mind analysis to it. And when the message comes in with no positive or negative energy charge, it is just a message. It is empty. The message itself is empty when our inner being is empty. And when you can let the message comes in with emptiness and your inner being is empty, and it's very light. It's very light. If we allow it to charge with negative or positive emotion, negative or positive analysis, it takes on a charge. It becomes heavy. It weighs us down. But if we recognize the truth within us is that I am just hearing, I'm always hearing, and I'm seeing, and I'm always seeing, and it doesn't matter what message comes in, I'm already always hearing, and I'm already always seeing, and a message is just a message. And with that, you can be free of suffering. You can feel the lightness of being. You experience inner peace. Did you get that?
Yeah, thank you.
You got it? You sure?
Yeah.
Split second that message comes in, are you not already analyzing because you've heard, you've seen it?
That's
That split second you're already analyzing. So
that's that is because we have been residing in this space for too long. But fortunately, we have been taught that there is something much, much deeper. It is that truth. So just focus on that truth that I know, I hear, and I know that I see. And you can use this practice to practice when things are not intense. When you got nothing better to do, just be at peace. When you got nothing better to do, just kind of realize, oh, okay, I'm already hearing and I'm already seeing, and that's it. Just make that a practice. And you can, in a few seconds, you said immediately you can start feel the lightness of being, and you can feel peace. That can become your daily practice. Instead of letting our mind wander about things and start thinking, analyzing, you just kind of go back to that truth within yourself. Okay, at any moment, I'm hearing and I'm seeing, and I know that I'm hearing and I know that I'm seeing, and that's it. It becomes a meditative practice. Another way to practice is called mindfulness. Okay, so there's, these are practices that people do. Mind. How many L is in mindfulness? 1 L or 2 L? Mindfulness. 2 L?
Yeah.
Mindfulness. It's a silly word to say mindfulness because, we don't want to be full of the mind stuff. The word came out back when human beings were not even conscious. We don't pay any mind. We do things automatically. We react and we don't pay any mind. To be mindful is to pay attention to what we are doing and not let our mind wander. It doesn't mean to put your mind full of stuff, right? The idea of being mindful is to pay attention to what you were doing at the moment. So when you get up in the morning and you're taking a shower or washing your face, instead of thinking, letting your mind wander about what's going to happen with work later on, what I'm going to have for breakfast later, what it's going to, how the traffic, forget all of that. Instead, just focus on the feeling of the water in your hand or across your body. That is mindfulness. When you walk down the stair from your house to the garage, pay attention to every single step, being in the moment. That is mindfulness. And because you are not letting your mind wander, you're not taking a positive or negative charge, all you have is that single moment, and that you just focus on that act that you're doing, and you can feel light. And if your mind does wander, okay, we're used to running this engine, this motor called the mind. We're so used to it. And if you find yourself wandering, then what you can do is tell yourself some words that can help you stop. Okay, you can tell yourself, okay, stop thinking, or stop it, drop it. Okay, or just cease. Okay, release. These are just one word meditation, or I like the word let go. Let it go. Let it go. Is that a song from the movie Frozen? Let go. Let go of the thought. Let go of that emotion. Drop it. If our emotion and our mind is like a heavy backpack and you want to be light, all you got to do is drop it. You don't have to get rid of it forever. You don't have to drop it forever. If any time you wanted to pick it up, you can always pick it back up. It becomes a choice, a conscious choice to use your mind when you want to. It becomes a conscious choice to think when you want to. But when you're not using it, just let it go. Let go of the thought. Let go like a heavy burden. Just let go. So when your friends or somebody calls you and says somebody has died, for a single moment, just let go. And then the next moment, if you want to pick it back up and start analyze, sure, what do I need to do next? Do I need to, attend a funeral? Do I need to call and help them feel better? Then it becomes a conscious choice, and you have more power. You have more clarity. The benefit of inner peace or emptiness of being. Okay, there are many benefits of emptiness of being. One of them is serenity, which is inner peace. You feel light. You're not burdened by emotion and the mind. Another benefit is clarity. If we give yourself that space of emptiness, then the next decision or the next thought or the next expression will be one that comes from emptiness, come from clarity, instead of coming from emotion and the mind. Do you notice that when a person reacts, their behavior, their expression, their action tend to be negative, right? We tend to make mistake when we act out of emotion. We tend to make choices that, when attached to the ego mind, our desire and our imagination, all this stuff, when we act out of the human nature, whether it's positive or negative, those choices usually turn out to be bad, even though at that moment it is the best choice that we know how to make. But if we allow ourselves a moment of emptiness, we get clarity, and then whatever thing we say or whatever thing that we do that comes next, if it arises out of emptiness, if it arises out of serenity and inner peace, it will arise out of authenticity and clarity, and they will usually be better choices. And now that we have learned this philosophy, we learned how to submit ourselves to universal principles and natural laws, then we're going to make choices that align with our desire instead of go against our desire. If we want inner peace, if we want good health, then we're going to say things and do things that will be detrimental to our health or our peace. When we receive a message and we allow ourselves a space of emptiness, then we're going to be able to make choices that will still align with our ultimate desire of health and happiness. Did you get that? So the benefit of emptiness of being is vast. And not only it enables us to make wonderful, positive choices that align with our desire, it has the benefit of balancing our mental, spiritual, and physical body. Notice that when a person reacts negatively, they get angry or something, their entire body tenses up. The blood pressure rises. They get a stroke, the heart attack. Okay? Those are the negative consequences of letting our human nature take hold of us. A person, on the other hand, who experiences emptiness of being, who can tap into that inner peace, maintain clarity and wisdom, the blood pressure remains low, the body is relaxed, the heart is healthy, they live long, healthy, happy life. Just look at the monks versus the people, who are in the psychiatric ward. The human nature, right? In the science psychology, it is the study of human nature. They study pathology. They study illnesses and diseases. And you can come up with 1,000 diagnoses for illness and diseases, and you still have no formula for peace. But fortunate for us, we're in this Zoom. We are benefiting from the wisdom of the ages, wisdom from enlightened human beings as well as divine beings, that we get to learn the truth within ourselves. We learn to access the already always hearing, the already always seeing, the most precious things that is so deep in us. And it's there, we never lost it. It just gets covered up by the emotion and the mind. Like the story of the demons and human, right? The demons stole the truth within us, but they didn't hide it anywhere. They didn't hide it outside. They hid it deep within us. But we make the mistake of looking for outside of us for things that make us happy. And so we're always lost because we're looking for things outside. But the map is already here. The map is inside of us. We have the truth, which is the will to hear, the will to see. And access that emptiness of being, will experience inner peace, serenity. Okay. And if we have to use our emotion and our mind, there's a positive way of doing about it. If we have to react emotionally, react with the positive energy of honoring gratitude. Okay. If we cannot access inner peace, that's fine. You know, it may take some practice for some people. If we have to react, choose to react with honoring gratitude. At all time, at all place, we can be grateful for many things. We can be grateful for the air that we breathe, keeps us alive. We can be grateful when somebody gives us a message that somebody has died. We can be grateful for the person who gave us the message. Be grateful for people. We honor the message. If we have to react, if we have to use our emotion and our feeling, focus on the positive emotion and feeling. Science has already demonstrated that the feeling of gratitude and honoring is a very high energy. It has a healing power. When people experience cancer and depression and things like that, therapists and doctors will advise them, you need to focus on being grateful. Okay, honoring gratitude has a healing component because it's very high energy. The higher the energy, the closer it is to our inner being. the further away we go, our inner being has very high energy, like light energy, very high frequency. But at the same time, it's very balanced. It doesn't oscillate very big. It is our emotion and our mind that fluctuate. We go positive and we go negative. And that is suffering. And the farther away we go from our true self, the more fluctuation, the more positive and more negative, hence the more suffering. So even if we have to operate within the level of the own emotion, we can choose. The root cause of life begins with me. I can choose the emotion of honoring gratitude. And if we have to analyze, some people have the tendency to think. Okay, then we initiate the energy of magnanimity. When we analyze and we think about how to become accepting, think about how to become tolerant, think about how to be generous and magnanimous. The word magnanimity means a great spirit. Magnanimous. Animus is spirit. Magna means great or big. Right? When you magnify something, you make it big. When we look at another person, see if we can magnify the good within them. If somebody calls us stupid, instead of focusing on the negative thoughts, find some positivity about that person and magnify it. Use your mind to magnify the good within another person, if you have to use the mind. But if you don't, if you can actually bypass the emotion and the mind, then the inner being, we simply welcomely receive it of our true self. Any question or impression? That is a second system of reference that we have touched upon. Okay, yesterday was the root cause of formula, the root cause of life formula. That is the scientific approach to human life and experience. Okay, we are trying to operate on the law of causality, which is a natural law. It is God's will that causality exists. Okay, for those who submit to the will of God, if you submit to the law of causality, if we obey universal principles and natural law, then we are essentially one who submit to the will of God. Yesterday, we used the formula for root cause of life, which is a reference system of the scientific. Today, we have just used the religion and spirituality approach to causality, to how to plant the good inner seed within us, so that that seed will ultimately bear fruit. Good inner seed within us will bear fruit and give us the kind of life that we want, a life of health and happiness. We already access inner peace. To be healthy and happy, go positive. Okay, spend more time being altruistic. Spend more time being satisfied. Spend more time with clarity and wisdom. Spend more time being trusting and benevolent, and spend more time being open-minded. Being positive will get us more positivity in life. The inner being, the inner seed, is within us. The emotional and the emotion and mental energy, that positivity that's inside it, that is the inner seed. But the inner seed will grow into a tree that will sprout fruit. And eventually, the external circumstances, the things that the reality of life, if we have a good inner seed, then we're going to experience the kind of life that has a lot of, positivity as well. If we have positive inner seed, we're going to bear positive fruit. Does that make sense? Yeah? Any lesson, impression, or realization before we take a break? I think we should take it.
For me,
Mhm.
to be in this situation, we need to practice.
You need to what? Practice?
Practice.
Yeah.
To practice to make our emotion positive. When you are in social media or in society, is kind of hard to do this practice, but mostly it's my experience. You have to be most of the time alone by yourself to practice this one first, to get that strong and powerful, to not be emotion immediately when give the message, or they're gonna send you message. When you are in the social media, when you are in the bunch of the community full of people, because non-stop they're gonna input you different messages, and your mind absorbing everything. But if you be in silence and by yourself, you can practice better.
Well, even when we learned it yesterday with the root cause of life formula, we can monitor what we see and hear. Okay, first you realize that we are already always seeing and we're already always hearing. We can't stop that, but we can monitor what we hear and what we see. Whether we're by ourselves or with other people in social media, we can start to pay attention to the content that comes in, that message, right? That message. You can start paying attention to it. And then you can choose. We can choose to decide what we make it part of our knowing. We can choose to change the way we say things. Okay? So in this one, if we cannot let things go in without taking on emotion in the mind, then at least we can start to monitor. It is a practice that you said, we can start monitor what people say and things and say and do. And then we can choose to stay in that situation or remove ourselves from that situation. If we do not have the strength of will, if we not have the serenity to be at peace in that negative environment, then we at least have the choice to remove ourselves from that environment.
Correct.
Right? If you have achieved a level when you have the energy of wisdom, we'll talk later about the energy of wisdom, where you can be at peace in any circumstances, then whatever message that comes in, regardless of social media or the news media, regardless of what they say or do, everything comes in empty. And because things comes in empty, it doesn't take on any weight, then you can take in an infinite amount of message and not be weighed down by it. But if we haven't reached that level, if our energy level, our internal inner being is not at a level where we can experience inner peace amidst negative circumstances, then we can choose to change or monitor. Okay, we monitor what we hear and see. Is that good for us? We identify our desire at this moment. What do I really want? Do I really want to be dragged down by negativity, or do I want health and happiness and serenity? Then we can change our situation. We can move into another location, say, no, thank you. I don't want to hear that anymore.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And we by practice, let's say we can't change the situation. Okay, well, let's say we're at work and people are saying negative and we can't remove ourselves. Let's say we're in a meeting room and people are being negative. In order to protect ourselves, we can initiate magnanimity.
Mhm.
Be generous with other people, be tolerant, just let them be. They're just human beings like us. They have not been taught or they have not discovered the truth within themselves just yet. So they're still stuck in their mind and their emotion. The human nature is as opposed to their true nature. So you can be magnanimous to other people. And when it's come time for you to speak in a meeting or whatever, even if they are negative, use words of gratitude. Honor people's presence. But those are practices. Later on, after the break, we're going to go even a little deeper in terms of the human construct and explain, okay? We will explain why some people attract negativity, negative fortune into their life, why some people encounter more positive fortune into their lives, and why some people get this truth within themselves more simply than other people. Because it has to do with the 3 blocks of spiritual energies. Okay, the 3 blocks of spiritual energy that is in our human construct. Beside from our physical body, our mind and emotion, and our true self, we have this spiritual slash intellectual energies. Okay, and they are good fortune, the energy of good fortune, the energy of bad fortune, and the energy of merit. Okay, we'll talk about that later. Why somebody experienced positivity, good fortune, why somebody experienced bad fortune, why somebody can understand the human concept more simply than other people. Okay, let's take a break. Unless anybody have any other questions or sharing.
No question. Thank you.
I haven't had breakfast yet, so how long do you guys, how long of a break do you guys want to do? Maybe 15 minutes, half an hour? Let's do half an hour break, okay?
Yeah, my stomach's sending me a message. I need to
There you go.
close gratitude.
We can't we can't go empty on that one, right? We cannot go empty, get it? Can't go empty. Yeah, I love that one. You're great. Oh man. Okay. Let's take a 30-minute break. Okay. Let's be back. Be back. It's now 7:20. Let's give it a
8.
50. Let's make it 8. Okay, be back. 8 a.m. Thank you. Okay. That will be 22 hours.
Hey Frank.
Yes.
Hi. I'm in Vietnam right now, so it's about to be like 9:30
Yeah.
like PM. So I'm just gonna take a shower and
Hit the sack.
sh-
Go to sleep.
yeah, hit the sack. Yeah, pretty much. Yeah.
Hit the sack. No problem. Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Hui. I'm grateful for your
Yeah.
presence today. Okay.
You're very much welcome. I'm very grateful and appreciate of
Yeah.
you teaching this lesson.
Did you get anything, new today? Did anything
No, this is the same thing, but it's
Mhm.
just translated in English, right?
Okay. Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Great. Awesome. Okay, you take
Thank you
care.
very much.
Okay, bye-bye.
Bye.
Mhm.